About to go live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. Feel free to throw where you are dialing in from in the chat. I see we already have a few people.
Welcome, everybody. Excited to have you
Awesome.
here today.
Yes, I am calling in from Canada. I always love to see if there's any Canadians in the audience.
There's always one.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. We'll get started in just a minute or two. Oh, there you are. You got your Canadian.
Yes, Toronto. Oh my gosh. Love to see it. Oh my gosh,
Wow.
2. Yay.
Multiple.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, depending on where you are in the world, if you're East Coast, this is officially the middle of the week. So congrats on making it just over the hump at 12:02 p.m. on a Wednesday. Excited to have you all here. We have a great agenda today. I'll share some of our slides before we get into it, but it's a really exciting moment and milestone for Rally today. We've opened up our research ops agent in beta. We're going to be talking a lot today about where we think the future of research and research ops is going. And hint, hint, it is agentic, and it's not just us who believes this. Of course, we have some really exciting guests today as well. So two of our favorite customers because they agree to come on screen with us, and they're always very generous with their time and insights. So we'll have Mahad from Included Health and Ray from Calendly. So we're going to start off with a little bit of background for those that are not super familiar with Rally, about where we came from, where we're going. I'll do a quick agent and MCP demo as well, walk through what it actually looks like to build a study in Claude. And then we will bring Mahad and Ray onto the screen and have them share a little bit more about their background and insights, how they're building AI native futures. And of course, as always, we'll leave some time for Q&A. All right, and as we go, feel free to drop questions in the chat as well. You don't have to save them for the end, but if you do that, then we'll be able to respond one at a time. All right, well, let's get started. So for those that are not super familiar with Rally, or those that have been with us for years, you may not be aware, but we started Rally with one simple mission: helping anyone who is building products connect with their own real users. Our core belief as a company is that it should be as simple as reaching through your screen to talk to your user. The challenge is, in so many organizations, it is not. There's this ideal of being able to talk to customers, but the one thing that always gets in the way, that takes so much time and effort, is, no surprise, recruitment. Ever since starting Rally and talking to researchers and research ops folks and asking them, what is your number one pain point? What is the biggest bottleneck in your process? Recruitment always came up. And not just recruiting anyone, but really recruiting your own users. There's been so much innovation in the last couple of years when it comes to planning research, conducting research, AI moderation, AI synthesis, AI analysis. So many workflows that have been revolutionized by AI and new technologies. And recruitment still a little bit stuck in the past until now. But why is recruitment such a painful process? There's multiple reasons, and I'm sure many folks here will resonate with this type of graph. But recruiting your users, for some of our customers, a lot of them can take up to 10 or more different tools that they're using to pull lists, manage spreadsheets, creating a screener, sending out mail merges, figuring out who you want to do research with, sending out different booking links, making sure your NDAs are signed, sending gift cards. And of course, this issue just compounds the more and more people that are trying to talk to customers. But that's not the only problem, especially if you're in a larger organization or one with sensitive customer data. Each one of these steps carries significant compliance and governance risk. There's PII floating around. You need to make sure consent is captured. You have tax obligations when you send out incentives. Of course, your participants, are your users, and they're your most precious asset as a company. The last thing you want to do is over contact them, over reach them, and especially those that are at risk. So we have spent the last couple of years solving this problem. And Rally has built the best-in-class user research CRM to automate participant management and recruitment for this exact purpose. And we've been very fortunate to partner and build with some of the best companies in the world and some of the most innovative research and research ops teams that run on Rally. So companies like Google, Figma, US Bank, Perplexity, Calendly, and more. But a lot has shifted, especially over the last year. No longer is just research being democratized, but that word is now finding itself in so many different functions. Design is being democratized, building product is being democratized. And as product roles are starting to blend within organizations, we're seeing that more and more stakeholders want direct user access. Your stakeholders at companies want to now finally talk to customers. And while this is something that has been happening for years, this is, we believe, the first moment where there's a lot more at stake and a lot more at risk. And only researchers and research ops folks understand the stakes when it comes to unlocking research. And not just unlocking insights, but unlocking participant access and making sure that the people who are seeking the ability to talk to customers have the ability to do so safely and responsibly. So there's three risks that we view when you're opening up recruitment to non-research stakeholders. Of course, there's participant risk, sloppy participant experience, over contacting customers. I'm sure everyone here who has been involved in a democratization program has run into the challenge where a stakeholder accidentally reaches out to 1,000 customers at once, when in reality they only needed to reach out to 50 or 100, and therefore putting all those people on a cooldown period. Of course, there's company risk as well, with PII exposure, GDPR not being enforced, reaching out to the wrong customer with the wrong message that can cause real significant risk within an organization. And lastly, this is something that research and research ops people understand deeply, but there is research execution risk, of course, when you have non-researchers who are talking to customers for the first time, and it's on you all and on us, of course, to make sure that we're putting the right guardrails in place to ensure that no matter who is talking to customers, the quality of research doesn't suffer, and therefore the output has to remain very strong. So these are all some pretty big challenges that research and research ops folks today have to confront and deal with. And what we view as the big question is, how do we keep the research quality bar high without sacrificing speed, compliance, or participant experience? No longer are the days where we can afford to be slow because we're being careful. We have to simultaneously be fast, but also not sacrifice quality. And we believe here at Rally that research and research ops teams are uniquely positioned to architect the systems that make this happen, that make research scale safely and efficiently. And that's why we have built the Rally Agent and MCP. We believe here that our agents should serve humans and not the other way around. And our mission with our agent is to end manual recruitment. So our beta is open today, and I'm going to be walking through the next couple slides, a little bit more detail about what you can actually do, how this all works, and then of course we'll bring, I'll do a demo, and then we'll bring Ray and Mahat up. All right, so the way that we view our ecosystem is at the very, very core of Rally. We are still a user research CRM. So you still have participant management, studies, recruitment workflow automation, incentives, governance, permissions, and roles. And we believe that this is all very critical research infrastructure and a foundation for any agentic system to be built on top of. So this is what we've been spending the last 4+ years building, is what we are calling Rally Research, our infrastructure. And what is new today is the interface through which you can access the infrastructure and through which you can use the infrastructure to build your own agentic systems in-house. So our API has been available and robust for very technical teams to build their own agentic tools internally. But the power of the MCP and agent is now non-technical folks like myself can really use and harness the power of these tools to integrate Rally's workflows and tools into the agentic systems your company already uses. So places like Claude, Cursor, ChatGPT. So we'll do a demo in a little bit of how you can use Rally's MCP and access all our different tools from Claude. Lastly, our Rally Agent is an out-of-the-box research ops recruitment agent. And this is available in Slack, also in Claude, and through a new Rally agentic interface. We'll talk through the agent and what's possible right now. So how we've built out our agent is to be essentially an assistant for you during the research process, specifically to manage all the recruitment and research ops workflows so that you, as researchers, as product builders, as research ops folks, can spend less time recruiting and more time talking to customers and doing the human parts of research. So again, you're able to access Rally's agent through all these different surfaces. And the core of what you'll be able to do is plan research, build studies end-to-end, recruit participants, and then, of course, ensure governance throughout the ecosystem, making sure that your guardrails are in place, rules are set for outreach and contact, and ultimately anyone accessing the agent can only do so within those organizational guardrails. I see there's a question here. How can Rally Agent integrate with Microsoft product like Teams? There doesn't seem to be support for it right now. So Rally does integrate with Teams, and our agent also supports the Microsoft ecosystem. So we could definitely go into that a little bit later if there are more questions, but that is possible today. All right. So now I think it's always interesting to look through use cases for agents and MCP. This is the first time for a lot of us, both building and leveraging agentic systems. And we're all figuring out together in our different organizations and companies how to best harness the power of these tools. And so prompts and different skills are really great ways to understand what is even possible. And one of my favorite tips with AI and using any new agent is just asking it directly, what can you do? What's possible with the Rally agent? So that's something I like to do occasionally to see what's new, what our team has built. But a couple of use cases that I want to highlight that I think are some really powerful ones that we've built with customers that are already in production today. And we broke them out into the different parts of the research workflow, whether it be planning your study, managing recruitment, day of, handling session logistics, and then after a session as well. So our MCP has tools that can support checking feasibility within your own panel or a paid panel that we integrate with, building a study from a research plan, and I'll walk through this workflow specifically, not having a research plan at all and building a study from scratch with just a very simple prompt, sending out emails, of course, with a human in the loop. One thing we've made very clear within our agentic experiences is that agents shouldn't do any destructive activities without getting a human approval first. So you'll see what that looks like, and that's really important for things like sending out incentives, managing external recruitment, sending out email batches, and ensuring that we have those guardrails in place so that you all can build trust in the agent first before giving it more and more capability. Same day logistics, whether there are product builders on your team trying to figure out what sessions are coming up, helping them prepare for those sessions, changing the host of an interview last minute because someone is sick or something came up. And then after the session, getting transcripts pulled from different interviews that have happened, pulling quotes and clips as well. So a lot of power that you can do from Slack, from Claude, from, again, a lot of the surfaces that your company is using from an agentic standpoint. And then I think it's really key and important to note that we built Rally's Agent and MCP with governance at the forefront. So all of the governance that exists within Rally, including, Judith, I see your question here, researchers, collaborators will be able to use the Rally Agent and Rally MCP. Permissions from your Rally workspace are inherited into the agent and the MCP. So if you have a certain role type that is not able to launch recruitment, they can't do it through the agent either. If you have a certain role type that can't access PII, they will not be able to do that from the agent. But if they can pull data from a study or reschedule interviews or send incentives, they will be able to do that from the agent or MCP. So the permissions that you know and love within Rally today are persisted 100% through the new agentic surfaces. Same with templates, same with governance rules, same with batch sending, approval workflows, and of course, sending money, which can be risky when you're opening up research to a large group. So really want to double down on the fact that governance is still core to Rally and even more core to our agent and MCP. And all of this fits with our philosophy and belief that the human work within research should stay human. And everything else, all the manual, logistical, administrative work should be agent assisted or automated. And really, our agent and our MCP is a big step towards enabling that future where you all can spend as much time as possible doing the real human, the real creative, the real intellectual work of figuring out what questions to ask in the first place, asking those questions, truly connecting with your users, and then socializing those insights with your stakeholders, with your teams to evangelize learnings and drive decisions internally. Everything else, creating screeners, filtering databases, putting email templates together, juggling calendars, sending out consent forms, incentives, all should be agent assisted and automated. And finally, today with Rally's Agent, it is. Another principle that we have on control is that the agent doesn't draw the line, you do. What we mean by this is that you should decide within your own company and context which of your stakeholders and colleagues should have access to what, and then which steps stay human, which are assisted, and which run on their own. All right. Well, thank you for bearing with me on the slides. Who is ready to launch some research from Claude? All right, so let me get my screen share going. Okay. All right, I will assume that my screen is being shared. Yes, it looks like it. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to show you all a couple of different examples that I've pre-populated here in Claude, and then jump into Rally in order to show you the power of the MCP and agent, and then we'll bring Mahad and Ray onto the stage in about 10 minutes or so. All right, so the first example here is from a more light prompt where you might have a product builder or researcher that is in a bit more of a rush. They haven't fully built out a study plan, and they just want to set up a quick study to talk to 5 people with a detractor NPS score and usage daily in your product. They want to understand their biggest friction points, and they want Rally's agent to help build a study. So here, the study has automatically been drafted. And what's so powerful here is that it's leveraging the study templates that you as researchers and research ops folks have pre-populated into the workspace so that the workspace norms, the organizational preferences are baked in to how the research is going to be run. And you can see that it generated 6 screener questions, set up scheduling, created and drafted email templates, set up the incentive and a consent form within the study as well. It also populated the audience and created email copy. But then here it is actually saying that the invitation is a stock template and recommends that you should change the email template in order to be more relevant to the goals of the study. So here I prompted Rally to firstly add a screener question about company size and disqualify anyone under 50 employees because I had forgotten that, and then also update the email copy to something more direct that's more likely to yield a high response rate. So here it added a screener question that disqualifies people with companies with fewer than 50 employees, but kept the rest of the screener questions, and then updated my email template as well. So now it's ready to start recruiting. And of course, like I mentioned before, the agent is not just going to start sending out emails. It requires you to jump into Rally, review, and approve. And for this study, I had already approved outreach, so the email batches had started sending. But again, human in the loop is a very core part of our new experience. So fast forward maybe a couple hours or a few days later, and I wanted to ask Claude for my study, can you give me a summary of the screener responses and how it's going so far? So I can see a very quick funnel view of how many people were invited, how many people submitted and then qualified, see what their titles, company size, screener responses. And from here, I can either decide to select the individuals that I want to schedule, and Rally will send the scheduling email, or I can send out another batch if I don't feel like I have enough participants to actually take the study. And from the experience within Rally as well, as you can see, I ended up scheduling 4 different interviews. So I have 4 sessions coming up. The Rally agent, while it's available in Claude, is also available in our agentic app. And what is nice is at any point I can click to ask Rally. And for this study, I told the agent, I'm actually going to be on vacation the 21st. Can you change the host to Sydney? It looks up the study details. It can see Sydney is there, found it, handed it off to Sydney, and done. Sydney is now the host for the Thomas Ross interview. And it is nice enough to tell me to enjoy my vacation. So again, all the little nitty gritty things that can come up during a course of a study you now have a always-on research ops assistant at your fingertips, whether it be in Claude, in Slack, or directly within Rally, to go and ask for help and take actions. So the next example that I'm going to show is when you are building a study from something a little bit more formulated. So if you recall back here, I had a very basic, simple prompt. But more often than not, especially as researchers, you will want to come with a study plan. And study plans, I know from speaking with a lot of you, are being created through skills, through different agents that you're all building in-house to assist your product managers, your designers in having a better starting point so that the research meets the bar in terms of what your organization considers a high quality study. So for this example, we have a demo study plan with explaining what the company is, our learning goals, the target participants, and building out the screener with a lot more specificity as to what the questions are, so that the agent doesn't have maybe the will or the ability to go and create its own screener, but wants to use what you have created already. Specifying scheduling specifics, the incentive, the timeline, and success criteria. So in this example, I uploaded this document into Claude. And again, depending on the surface that you're coming from, you can bring this document directly into Rally as well and say, I want to launch a study. I have my whole plan ready to go. So it'll read the plan, review, scope it out, and then it builds the entire study using all the specific details from the plan from scratch, and we'll get ready for launch. From here, you can see it has updated the email copy as well. And from here, we ask to go live. And here is the example of what it looks like in Rally to approve the outreach. So you'll always see the list of folks that it's going to be sent to, the email copy. And if something doesn't look great, like, okay, the formatting here, let me add space here. You can also use our AI email copy editor to say, actually, can you explain that we are looking for people who no longer use our product, and you can update the email copy directly in line and have that be created in here. And then you'll be able to save changes and batch send out emails. So again, starting in Claude, moving into Rally, never going into Rally if you don't want to. You have the option now with the MCP to create these agentic workflows and experiences that really unblock your stakeholders to recruit, manage participants, and get on with their day. All right, I am going to pause there. I'm almost at the half-hour mark to firstly see if there are any questions. I'll stop sharing my screen at the moment. There's plenty more to show within Rally, but for demo purposes today, we will stop there. All right, so I see that there are a few questions. So how could existing templates be integrated into Rally Agent? So this works directly within Rally's existing ecosystem. Your templates that you have in your library are then going to be invoked from the agent, depending on the research plan or ask from your stakeholder. So that is baked into the experience. Claire is asking, how does the agent currently work with the calendar-free scheduling instance of Rally? It works exactly the same as what you saw, so it doesn't need to connect with Gmail or Google Calendar or Outlook for it to work. The agent can schedule on behalf of researchers and participants with the calendar-free instance as well for those customers in that boat. And Janet was asking if it integrates with Microsoft Copilot, and yes, the answer is that it does. Does the MCP streamline CSV uploads? Question from Krista. Yes, it does as well. So you are able within Claude, again, ChatGPT, wherever you operate, to drop your CSV list into the chat, and it will upload that list into Rally. Of course, dedupe, double check any governance statuses, and allow you to send a note from there. Yes, Rally proper. Okay, well, we are halfway there. So what is next, both in our chat and then also for research ops? So we're going to be bringing Ray and Mahad to the stage. So let's do that if you both are ready. I'm going to add you each to the stream. We'll start with some quick introductions. And then we'll start with the conversation. All right, Ray, I hear you, but I don't see you.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn my camera on. Sorry, just give me a minute here.
No rush, no rush. In the meantime, Mahad, if you can give a quick intro on yourself. Firstly, welcome back to another Rally webinar. It's great to see you.
It's great to be back. I'm always surprised that you guys keep inviting me. So, I'm happy when I get these invites. But I'm Ahad. I'm a senior staff researcher at Included Health. I've been with Included Health for about 4 years. And Included Health is a kind of leading virtual care and healthcare navigation company. We cover, I think, 84 million people, covered lives, we call it. And we're avid users of Rally and have been, it's been making our lives easier since we got it, I don't know, 2-3 years ago.
Awesome. Great to have you, Mahad. And Ray, please give an intro on yourself too.
Yeah, I'm Ray Mason Murillo, big Rally fanboy as well. I am the first research operations hire at Calendly, and I've been here for almost a year now, and was luckily able to onboard Rally almost immediately, and it's just been a godsend from day one. Love seeing the progress along the way. Even in just a year, it's the product that we had a year ago to the product that we're seeing today is it's the way that it's leveled up has just been incredible. So it's been transformative for the way that we do research here at Calendly, who has access to doing research here at Calendly, and it's allowed us to make better products faster. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really excited to have both of you here. So we have for the conversation a couple questions lined up, but as always, our guests love to take questions from the audience. So please feel free to post anything in the chat. But to kick us off, maybe Mahad, you can go first. Can you share a little bit about what research looks like at your company today, who's doing it, and then we'll go into a little bit more of what you're building. Oh, I think you are muted.
I'm muted. Okay, yeah, got it.
There you go.
Sorry about that. So research at Included Health, has come a long way. One of our core values is we put the member first. And so a big part of that is, speaking to members, on a daily, if not weekly basis related to all the things we do. I would say, Rally is kind of the nerve center of our research approach at this point. We have, I'd say, myself, other researchers, designers, some PMs also doing different research activities. I'd say everything starts and ends with Rally and then kind of farms out. I mean, I think our research stack is, Maze, Marvin, Sprague, Rally. And, I would say since we got Rally, I think I've talked with you about this, Oren, and I think maybe I talked about it the last time, but we've kind of 4x the amount of research we do. So it really kind of unlocked, a lot of it took away a lot of barriers to doing research. It also, being a health company, governance is a big thing. And I think Rally has really made sort of, my life a lot easier from sort of asking, questions around sort of HIPAA protections, PHI protections, and things of that nature, as well as making sure everything's kind of streamlined. And I guess we will get to talk about the MCP and the agent, but I think that's also leveled up that part as well.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, how about you, Ray? How does research look at Calendly? Who does it?
Yeah. Well, when I got here, everybody, even outside of research, so product managers, designers, they were even, go-to-market folks were doing research, but you'd be hard pressed to find out about it. We didn't really have any centralized way of seeing who was doing what, and so it's largely the same teams outside of research doing, performing their own research now. But it's done in a responsible way, in a way with a lot more visibility. I like Mahad's comment about the 4xing research volume. I honestly couldn't say if we've done that because there was no tracking of research volume before. But what I feel confident about saying is that research here the quality has gone way up. So I don't know about the volume, but I know that we feel confident about insights derived from our research now more than ever. So yeah, I'm happy to have product people, designers, folks with a lot less research experience able to go in there and do high quality research. And of course, our dedicated research team of 3 UX researchers as well.
Small but mighty, as it usually is. Awesome. Well, thank you both. So similar types of environments, small but mighty research teams enabling many more folks to do research and trying to keep that quality bar high, which again is core to what we're trying to accomplish here as well. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about becoming AI native. That's a term that is popping up in every organization. Every company right now is on this journey and transformation to become more AI native. What does that mean for each of you in your roles and your teams? Maybe Ray, you can kick us off this time.
Yeah. Luckily for me and for Calendly and the relationship we have with Rally, Calendly also is trying to go AI native. That's definitely our focus right now as well. So it's a pretty natural fit to be able to ask people outside of the research team to approach our research stack and our research CRM in an AI native way. So being able to, the time I have to spend in educating folks how to recruit for a study or how to set up a study. What's our nomenclature standard? How do we index studies in a way that is organizationally sound? That's usually me who's having to go in and do the cleanup in titles and all that sort of stuff. Now, we have designers and PMs describing their study. The agent names it in a way that I've taught it, and like someone said about Rally proper, we're moving towards a place where these product managers and designers don't really have to go in to Rally and go through the UI themselves. Although it's a beautiful product, they don't need to spend time clicking around in there, which is great. So I feel like symbiotic AI native between Kali and Rally, and I love that. Makes my job easy.
Great. And how about yourself, Mahad? How is Included Health approaching being AI native, and yourself and the research team?
Yeah, I think Included Health is obviously all in on AI. like pretty much most companies these days, definitely within the research team. We have an AI enablement strategy of which research has a sort of a component, and that's sort of as part of that AI enablement. I think what being AI native for me, I remember when you guys sent me this question, I was like, this is a very difficult one to think through. But I think when I work with sort of our teams on it, I'm kind of like one of the corporate, like internal AI expert type people. So I work with people on it. I try to get people to think of the possibilities they couldn't do before, which AI leverages, right? So like when I think of research, I think of, the ability to connect across research tools to get more, I think more quality answers, right? So you might be, using Rally to kind of understand which participant participated, then connecting to like their Marvin interview and to their Maze prototype, result or something like that, right? I mean, that's just an example I came out of. I've seen us been able to do as more complex mixed method studies, but also to do those in a way that, people who maybe are not trained in those methods can actually do it, right? So like it's increasing accessibility is that. Um, I think in terms of sort of also, presentations, right? So like, being able to kind of use, these tools to build skills, processes to kind of like, I would say level up our reporting and like get that out there quicker, right, to people. And in a more layered way, you might have, a quick insight report about a particular interview, right, all the way to like a full readout, right, and just kind of doing that on a quicker basis. I would definitely plus one to Ray what you were saying in terms of like, I mean, I can't actually remember the time. Like I honestly was thinking about this morning. Like I can't remember the last time I've actually gone into Rally, the interface. Right. I think I was on a call with Zoe yesterday, and that's like the last time I've seen it in like weeks. I've been only using the MCP, honestly, like pretty much exclusively. Um, and like since it came up, so like for me, I'm a big fanboy about that. Like I just think that it's a much easier way to do it. And then I mean I'll shout out to this. I mean obviously, Oren, how appreciative I was about Rally helped us really level up our research ops practice over like the last 6-7 months. And I think the MCP just kind of adds the cherry on top of that, right? So like all the work we spent building templates and like structuring sort of our properties and all these things, I think they just like really makes it easy, like when connecting to the MCP, and allows more and more people to get into it with like really like that rigor that we want, right? Because I think that Ray, you said this, I think you said it twice, but to me, it's like not having to worry about, hey, when someone does something that they're going to break a rule because the rule's embedded, and I think that's like the big shift I think I've seen, and I'm excited like what the next 6 months, we'll see.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for walking us through that and leading from the front for both of you. So a common question that we get a lot from customers, especially people that are newer to MCPs and agents and trying to figure out how to make the most of all this new technology. If you would walk us through when you first got access to Rally, the agent MCP, what was the first thing you tested? What made you try that first? And what did you learn? Maybe this time, Mahad, you can kick this off.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I tested was kind of what you demoed, which is like, could we build a study, from like a plan or something of that nature or a prompt? And I was like, oh wow, like a study kind of materialized. You know what I mean? I remember I went into the interface just to like make sure that I had gotten everything, and it actually had gotten everything. And then I was like, I remember slacking with Zoe, and being like, hey, like, this worked, but like this thing, and then kind of going back and forth, like, just trying to understand, and then immediately, in my mind, just kind of like started thinking of all these other connections. Like one of the things is we recruit a lot in product, right, through in product prompts. And right now you have to kind of create the study. You might send out the emails to your research panel, but you also might put a in product prompt. And so next thing I did is to try to connect the fact that a Rally study existed with the creation of a Sprig in product prompt. Again, connecting the MCPs to do that, and then putting it as skill, right? So like that was like a way that you can kind of cross pollinate the fact that both those tools have MCPs. Which is actually great because now there's a skill that basically says when you create a Rally study, also create a Sprig, with like in a product prompt, right? And so there's one more thing you don't have to really worry about, and things of that nature. So I think that's the first thing I tried. We have built a research panel over the past 8 months or so. And shout out to Crystal. I don't know if she's on this call, but the curating the properties to like get participants is another thing that we did. And it actually made me excited because honestly, as exciting as creating a panel was, I often get overwhelmed by sort of panel management and panel health. And I feel like using the MCP is going to really help with that in terms of managing it over time. So I think I'm really excited about that. And I've been trying to work on skills to kind of just manage panel health and panel management. So, I think the use cases are endless, I'll be honest. Because I always call, Rally the nerve center of our research. Anytime I talk to procurement, the minute they bring up like, oh, are we going to renew Rally? I was like, of course. You know what I mean? Please do not. If you take Rally away, I'm leaving included health. 100%. Like that's the first time I'm like, but the MCP I think just extends that, abilities. And so like I said, I really did not go into the actual interface anymore.
Yeah, it's amazing that that's really starting to be the case for so many of our customers. And I love how you're connecting the dots between different tools in the stack as well. I know a Rally Sprig integration has been on your long-term wish list, and maybe the fact that MCPs exist and that these tools are so much more interoperable now through agents like Claude, we can focus on other features and less on some of the more traditional types of integrations. I'm sure you still want the integration for other reasons, but it's cool that it's already connecting those dots. Sweet. Well, how about you, Ray? What was the first thing you tested? What were some of your early learnings from diving into MCP land?
Yeah, this conversation is so cool because I'm realizing it in real time, maybe how our personalities with regard to research ops and panel management come to play. Because for me, I didn't even think about my first thought was so far away from creating a study on it, letting it create a study on its own. Probably because I'm a bit of a I don't want to say control freak, but I like things in a certain way. So I didn't even think of that. But one of the issues here at Calendly that's been pressing is our research repository is has been disorganized. So for me, the first thing I jumped into with the MCP was first just to put it through its paces, like tell me all the studies that are going on like right now. Who's owning them, blah, blah, blah. That was very easy for it to do. But then I really started trying to battle test it with, hey, I want to look into this research topic, fill in the blank. Return studies that we've done or particular interviews that we've done using transcript search that would be relevant to this to this research topic. If there's a strong match, let me know. If this looks like a novel area, let me know that. And immediately it was able to, with very little fine tuning, was able to return that stuff really, really quickly. And it was high quality. At that point, I went and double checked it myself, of course. And it checked out. I was super impressed right away. I was like, this doesn't seem like a V1 at all. This is like, way beyond an MVP. So I was super impressed with that. That's where I started, is kind of looking at its ability to search past research and make connections to what we're looking to research in the future.
Awesome. Well, yeah, cool to hear how your different brains had different starting points and made different connections. And I think that's what's so cool and powerful about these new technologies is the creativity that you can bring to the equation, because it's all just new building blocks that you can then create so much with. All right, well, we have about 10 minutes left. So as Sydney mentioned, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat. But the next topic, very curious to hear more about, is some future-facing thoughts from each of you on where you view your roles evolving to in the next 6 to 12 months as technology continues to improve and you find new challenges and different challenges to overcome within your organizations. Where do you view your research and research ops roles going?
I wish I had a crystal ball to be able to tell you. It's something that it doesn't keep me up at night, but it's definitely something that's on my mind. I feel as though, right now I'm excited about understanding what these new tools can unlock for us. I'm not the gatekeeper of what Rally can do now, but yes, I'm on the front lines. So I do have a position of distributing that information to other people in our org. So I would say that I'm starting to become, I'm looking at myself as an enablement expert in a way that I was doing a lot of this stuff myself, maybe not manually, but I was, handling all research ops. Now I'm finding ways to educate and enable other people to do research more easily. Obviously, the Rally's progress helps with that a lot, but I'm thinking about more than just product managers and designers getting access. In 6 months, in 12 months, I want C-suite people able to go into their Claude and maybe not cook up a study where they're going to run interviews necessarily, although they should be able to do that, but also be able to use plain language to find prior research in a way that's like not making them feel like they're in the weeds. And yeah, that altitude, scaling it up beyond people who are working in product every day. I think that's going to be that's my next step. I want to make that easy to do, and people are feel confident about doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome to hear, and I think it's a great ideal to work towards is enabling the C-suite to get easier access to to customers and research. And I think really it's only possible if we meet them where they are, which is in Claude, in Slack. There's no way that they're going to go into a new tool. I would love to think that they would want to learn Rally, but it's just not the case for people that are that busy and have that many things going on. So if we can meet them where they are, then we can unlock so much potential. So love to hear that that's a goal. How about you, Mahad? Tell us about the future.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of a difficult question, but I think, I might segment it a little bit. So I'd say from a re-op standpoint, I think, traditionally I haven't done a lot of the education and enablement work, right? That Ray, you're kind of mentioning. And so I think that's an area that I really would like to kind of do, right? Like an actual like formal program in which we're like educating people and getting them really comfortable using these tools. I think it's been a missing gap, at least in included health. I know it's like something that's more well developed at other organizations. And I think by standardizing a lot of this stuff using sort of these MCP skills, all of these types of things, I think it'll help us actually do that like, more confidently. From a research standpoint, I really think the future is, I would say, like more mixed method, ways of answering questions. I think, one of the things I've been working with our data science team is kind of on an observability sort of like matrix or tiering where we can kind of like follow a customer through our journey, right? And really like understand them qualitatively and quantitatively, and kind of follow over time. And I think this is kind of like a stretch goal we have, but like I think it's finally enabled, by these MCPs, right? So like, we were able to like answer certain, we ask certain questions in product, right? Like it's tied to, their account ID, then we see them in amplitude, and then we see them in terms of their utilization, you know what I mean? And we kind of are able to like in plain language ways, ask these questions. And then we've also kind of created like more of a, data rooted personas, right? And then, we can then also use Rally to target those people and the personas, right? Like, hey, we want to interview you. And so we've actually, some of this is stuff we've actually done in the last 3 months because it's been enabled by these tools. But I think that's something, we really want to lean into. And I think build out more. And I think that's, something that I think I've been experimenting a lot with and really trying to build out with. And then I think the final thing is enabling, I would say, faster or more complex studies, like for our sort of designers and project managers, right? Our product managers. I think there's a lot of questions that come up that we need to do research, but there's always this idea it takes too long and there's friction, and I think a lot of that is just obviously I think it's accelerated in the last 6 months, but I think it has actually been being removed over the last 2 years, right? And we've come to the point where you can do things quickly. So, like for example, one of our flagship products is alternate plan design, and so I've been working with that team to literally do sometimes 3-4 studies a week to answer I would say meta and micro questions, right? Like should this copy work for the ID cards, and everything from like the most plain thing to the other, and showing that you can spin up studies and recruit people from the panels like super quickly, and that you don't have to go to this idea that it's like this big slog, which is I think cemented in most product teams' brains, and it's hard to dislodge, right? And so I think I've been just kind of getting to the trenches and just showing them like we could do this like really quickly, and that the infrastructure exists and you can actually report this stuff out really quickly, right? And that you should do it for these kind of efforts because there's questions that need answering, and that yes, traditionally we've just made a gut reaction to it, then monitor the data later and then change it, but like we should be able to get some data on that now, maybe help our confidence. Doesn't mean it's always perfect, right? And so I think that's the future, but I think it links back to this idea of I don't come from a reops background, so I would love to kind of learn from people like you, Ray, because like how do you educate and enable all these systems and and things of that nature. And I think because I think there's like all these tools, and sometimes I'm just overwhelmed with like where do I even start like to educate and enable people.
Yeah, that's really fantastic that you're in the trenches and thinking that way, working with the product managers and different teams to show them what's possible in today's world and version of research. Because I totally agree. I think research gets a bad rep sometimes from older ways of doing things that portray research as slower and only done in certain instances, more precious, more high stakes. Whereas I think the reality that folks like yourselves are showing people internally is that research can be done a lot more continuously. There's a lot of different types of questions that you can answer with research. It doesn't have to be this big multi-week, multi-$1,000 endeavor. And today it's finally possible. So yeah, appreciate you both really helping us build from the front lines and coming on and sharing some of your experiences. And I know we can keep chatting forever, but we are just out of time. And yeah, really appreciate everyone for joining today. Thanks, folks in the audience. And if you would like to join the beta for Rally's MCP and Agent, reach out to your CSM if you're a customer. If you're not, then I'm sure you'll be getting an email after this from our amazing team. So feel free to reply and we can set up a demo and more of a deep dive. But thank you all for joining us. Thanks again to Ray and Mahad. You're both amazing. And yeah, hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day and hope to see you all soon.
Thank you.